Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here on this Monday, April the 18th, 2022, to go over both DFS and prize picks wise for our NBA playoffs 3-game slate for this evening. Leading off at 7:30, we have Toronto and Philadelphia, with Philadelphia a 1-0 lead. 8:30 is Utah and Dallas. Utah's ahead of that series 1-0. And then at 10 o'clock, these are all Eastern times, we have Denver and Golden State, with Golden State a 1-0 lead in that series. So we're going to go over a couple of different things here. Going to try to keep it concise and get you ready for tonight's action. We're going to have multiple days in a row with 3 NBA playoff games, which is really perfect for setting up NBA DFS wise and to have a good enough selection to really diversify on some of your prize picks plays. So a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor for today's podcast, and that's BetUS.com.pa. BetUS, fantastic site for all of your action, whether it be sports betting, casino, you name it, they've got it. I've been a member there 16 years, believe it or not, and they are terrific. Good payouts, great promos. So just go to betus.com.pa, sign up with the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space. And by doing that, if you make your first deposit with them of a minimum of $149, you get 2 full free months of DFS Coach Talk. That's $150 value, 2 full months, everything we've got, all of our baseball, all of our golf, all of our basketball playoffs, everything that's going on right now. You get to join in our Discord and a tremendous community we have here at DFS Coach Talk. So just again, go to betus.com.pa, sign up with the promo code Coach Talk, then jump on Twitter. We're at DFS Coach Talk. Shoot us a message. Let us know you've just signed up with BetUS with our 2-month free package, and we will get you in Discord immediately, and you're good to go for 2 full months. So we'd love to have you there. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube on the way in here, please give us a quick thumbs up. We do this 7 days a week in front of the paywall, and we're just looking to get a thumbs up, a subscribe, and while you're at it, hit that alarm in the upper corner so you know when any of our podcasts post. We really, really do appreciate that. All right, let's dive into the first game. It is, again, that 7:30 game, so extra half an hour than what we were used to during the regular season of the 7 o'clock start. And we do have a big diversity of point spreads here and a big diversity of totals. So that's where we really want to start looking at what's going to stand out here the most to us. The first game, Toronto Raptors at the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia favored by 7.5. They already took game 1. It's a 217 total, so fairly low. 104.75 implied for Toronto and 112.25 for the Philadelphia 76ers. As far as any injury designations, definitely Toronto has been bitten by the injury bug at the very worst time of the season. They have 3 guys listed as doubtful. None of them practiced yesterday. And from what I'm working on right now, I've got all 3 of them listed as out personally, but we will confirm that officially when they're ruled out. And it's 3 important players, 2 starters and a bench player. Scotty Barnes, possible rookie of the year candidate here, Gary Trent, and Thaddeus Young. So, that's a lot of firepower with Barnes and Trent specifically to take out of that lineup. For Philly, not an issue. Just Jaden Springer, questionable, and Charles Bassey is out. Those guys will not play anyway unless it's a blowout. All right. As far as any statistical look from this season, 2 slow teams here. That's why you've got a low 217 total. 25th in pace for Toronto and 26th for Philadelphia. So this is not going to be an extra possessions up and down game. It's weird here. These 3 games tonight, we've got tons of slow teams. I mean, the fastest team of the bunch is Golden State at 14. Everybody else is in the 20s and below. So it's going to be a tough night to squeeze out DFS points, and probably lower totals are going to win contests than they have been recently. Defensively, both teams pretty solid, both above average, 11th and 12th in the league with defensive efficiency ratings. So let's look at this first game. If Barnes and Trent are out, there's going to be some increased usage for sure for Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. Those two guys are the first two you have to look at here. I mean, you can actually go both if you'd like. I think having one of them is going to be a necessity, though. The prices are very fair. VanVleet's all the way down to 7.5, which is almost to plug and play level. And Pascal Siakam at 9.2, he had drifted over 10 at times. And again, with Trent and Barnes out, a lot of that's going to fall on VanVleet's and Siakam's shoulders. So that's the first decision. There are a few other guys that are elevated with the absence of those players, and that would be OG Anunoby at 5.8, Precious Achiuwa at 4.3, Kem Birch at 3.2, and then you have a cheap 4.4 Chris Boucher. So those would be the four guys where it's almost impossible to get away from taking one of those value plays there as well. So I will have a couple of players, a buy up and a value play from Toronto. I think that's just a smart play because that usage has got to, flood somewhere with those two guys out. On the Philadelphia side, it's pretty simple. Is it Joel Embiid as your buy up, or is it Nikola Jokic, or do you try both? I tried both in game one. It did not work because the value guys did not come through. So, that's going to be the big call for me today. Do I go Embiid or Joker? So number one call is go with one of them, and I believe that's the way I'm leaning. I just have not made my decision on which one of the two. Embiid's 10.7. The Joker is 11K, so pretty much a wash there. It's just, in playing both, you can do it on FanDuel and some different spots. But in doing, actually, I see Embiid listed as center here. I'm going to double check that while we're on here because I want to make sure as far as the position eligibility here. Because, let's face it, those two guys are the raw points specialists here for both teams. And the question is going to be, can you play them at multiple positions or not? So on DraftKings, they're both center eligible only, 11K and 10.7, like I said. But you can play them, one of them in the utility spot, if you choose. And again, it's a huge sacrifice to do that. You really have to hit the nuts on those value players, and it's very hard to do. So really going with mid-level build the rest of the way after buying up for one of them, I think is the more successful path to go. So, FanDuel has continued to do this, which is interesting. I don't blame them. You've got multiple eligibility for the Joker and Embiid. They're both power forward and center eligible. So, which really is silly in essence because, the Joker, I don't think he's ever played the four in his life, maybe. But the bottom line is you can play them both. You can make multiple lineups. And I do like the fact that that's going to keep a lot of things more, contrarian. People are going to be able to move around, take different guys, build different ways. And that does make it more fun, less repetitive lineups and all of that. Now on Yahoo, they're both only center eligible, but you have that utility spot, and they're $58 and $56. So somewhat the same thing. If you go with both, you're in big trouble trying to fill out the rest. So really a decision needs to be made. That's pretty evident there. So Embiid certainly is a great play. Harris will start getting a little ownership because he had a good game one. He's 6.8. Tyrese Maxey at 6'4" is a fine play as well. And then obviously the other, big play is James Harden. He's 9'3", which is fair for James Harden. You don't see him, I know this season since he went to Philly, he's been down in the nines, but 9'3" you can make work. But certainly not going to put all my eggs in the Harden and Embiid basket. Harden to me is a consideration if you're going to go with just the Joker in the big spot, but Harden's probably going to be odd man out if I go with Embiid as my center. All right, let's move on to game 2, a super low total here. And this is the first playoff card where we've had extremes on these totals. This next game is the Utah Jazz and the Dallas Mavericks. Utah is a road favorite by 5.5 because Luka's going to be out. It's only a 205.5 total, though. 105.5 for Utah implied, 100 flat for the Mavericks. So that's where we have quite a disparity in numbers. The last game, Denver and Golden State's a 224 number. So when you're pushing a 20-point difference in total in Vegas, that is a boatload of DFS points. So you've got to consider that. And then somewhat splitting the difference is Philadelphia-Toronto game at 217. So there's a lot of strategy in the builds today. It's going to be hard to have a ton of exposure to this Utah-Dallas game with that low of a number. But, with a 3-game slate, probably going to have to find somebody or a couple of guys from this game that you're going to put into that mix. As far as injuries in this game, it's just Trent Forrest questionable for Utah. Luka Doncic doubtful. He's not going to play. He's out along with Hardaway and Ntilikina. So how do we figure this game out? Well, we know our key play last time was Jalen Brunson. He did get it done. He's at 7-2, which is fair. He's still going to be the predominant ball handler, shooter. So basically for the usage you're going to get with Brunson, I have no problem going right back to him. The other option, of course, is if Dinwiddie really steps up. I mean, both Dinwiddie and Brunson scored over 20 real points. So they both, picked up a lot of that slack. Dinwiddie's 6'6". So it's hard to take 2 guys from the same squad with an implied total of only 100. But those are the 2 guys that are going to, have the ball the most. They're going to get the most shots up, and they have the best possibility of really going 7x, 8x. It is feasible for either one of these guys. I wouldn't suggest going, more than 1 guy, maybe 2 at the very most for Dallas with that low implied total. Your other options, of course, you're going to get a lot of minutes from Reggie Bullock at 4.8. You're going to get a lot of minutes from Finney Smith at 5.2. And then Dwight Powell at 4.7, Maxi Kleber at 3.8 are the other guys that will mix in there. But without Luka, it is a struggle for the Mavericks to score the basketball because he leads the league in usage above everybody. And it's just a totally different team without him. So I will have exposure to Dallas, but I will not be stacking this game at all. On the Utah side, you've got a couple of options here. Bogdanovich had a really good game for us last time out at 5'7". He's very capable of doing that again. Donovan Mitchell, if the game stays close enough, which it should, Donovan Mitchell is, to me, the strongest play at 8.3. That's very fair price. I think it's a really reasonable price. It's not as good as the super cheap price of 7.5 on Van Vliet, which is, again, like I say, pretty much a plug and play. But Mitchell 8.3, very fair. He can definitely get to his number, especially if it stays close. He's one of the best fourth quarter players, clutch players in the league. Rudy Gobert, again, what we expected, big rebounds totals. I think it's 17 or 18 rebounds. We had predicted over 15, and he probably gets that again. The thing is, can he really get enough stocks and score enough points to smack that 7.8 salary? Certainly can, But the problem here is you've got Embiid and the Joker at center, and Rudy is the next man up at center, in my opinion, at 7-8. So, if you want to go with either Embiid or Joker and Gobert on the sites where you can play two centers, that's a way to go. Or even on FanDuel, where you can play either Embiid or Joker at power forward, you still play Gobert at center. And I am leaning towards Gobert here. I think I just don't think the Mavericks have any response whatsoever inside. So I think he replicates that 15 plus rebounds and then maybe adds a little bit more of the peripheral statistics with stocks and points to make him a really good play. After that, I'm just in this slow of a pace game. I think it's too risky at 5-6 for a Conley. You have no idea what you're going to get from O'Neal or Whiteside off the bench. So I would stick with, Mitchell or Gobert as the keys for Utah, either Dinwiddie or Brunson as a mid-level, and then a possibility of one of the value guys for Dallas as well. All right, the last game, and probably the game that's going to get the most ownership, and deservedly so. You've got the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State is -7. It's a 224 total, 108.5 implied for Denver, 115.5 for Golden State. This season, by the way, let me go back and mention one thing. Utah 22nd pace, Dallas 30th. That's a big part of the reason why the total's so low. And two really good defenses, Utah 10th and Dallas 6th. So just more numbers to, make that game a very tough game from DFS standpoint. Denver, not great either, but better, 20th and 14th in pace. So still pretty slow, but they're all slow today, like I said. And then Denver struggled a bit defensively, 18th. So, when you're in the bottom half of the league defensively, that gets your attention. And then Golden State has snuck back barely, just by a smidgen over Boston. Golden State's back to the number one defensive team in the league after the first round games and for the whole season combined. So you've got a stout defense in Golden State. That's what you got, 108.5 implied for Denver, 115.5 implied for Golden State. As far as injuries here, nothing of note. Murray and Porter have been out pretty much all season, and Golden State, no injuries whatsoever. So, it is desperation time for the teams that lost the first game. It's not as bad for Toronto and Denver, who are just trying to get a split on the road before they go home, but very important games there. Dallas in more of a 9-1-1 situation. You can't go down 0-2 and then have to travel. That's not going to work. So what do we think about this game? It's, again, going to get quite a bit of ownership. You've got the opportunities with Steph Curry at 9-1, which is a super fair price for him. Jordan Poole at 7-9, Klay Thompson at 7-4, Draymond at 6-5. So those are your key four guys, in my opinion. And to look at a combination of two of those guys makes perfect sense. You can fit them, especially if you go more with a Klay or Draymond at that 6 and 7K prices. If you feel a good game for Wiggins, I'm not a big Wiggins guy, but he's only 6'2", so something you can at least look at. And again, that mid-level build after just the one buy-up, to me, is going to be my strategy today. So, the 115.5 total for Golden State definitely creates some interest there. That's the biggest implied total on the entire board. So it is, it's going to be a squeezing the points out kind of day. We're not going to have people blowing up the scoreboards here. So, strategically choosing 2, even 3 guys from Golden State make perfect sense, and getting those to fit into your lineup. For Denver, again, like beating a dead horse, you got to have Embiid or Joker, one or the other or both. Those are the 2 raw points guys that should just easily be 1-2 in that category for tonight's games. As far as supporting the Joker, it's a hard call. we pretty much, want to go Joker or bust here, but Morris at 4.9 is fair. Bones at 4.5 off the bench. Barton's only 5.5, so it's that tempting, teasing low price. We know that he's capable. You also get a low price on Aaron Gordon at 6K. He's certainly a guy that can get to his number fairly easily. After that, you're digging a little bit for the Jeff Greens, Austin Rivers. I don't really think you need to go there, again, unless you're going to try to get both Embiid and Joker in the lineup. So, it's a good slate to diversify. I think you have to have a little more, players that you're going to roster in that late game, just because of the toughness on D and the slow paces in the other games. But it's not going to be a total fade game for any game for me. I'm going to spread it out, try to find the right build, try to get a couple of different options there together. All right, let's dive into prize picks real quickly here. I'm going to give you the 2 picks of the day from Josh Crash Davis. So these are his 2 faves. The second best pick of the day for Crash is Fred VanVleet under 4.5 rebounds. And then his top play is Tyrese Maxey, same game, over 25.5 PRA. So I think that's 2 very reasonable picks, 2 that, you can get pretty aggressive with. So for me, I'm going to refresh my screen because they do change these numbers a lot as the day goes on. So if you really like a play at a number that you think is lower or higher than you expected, you're going to want to get that in there and not even mess around, because that could change, and then your odds are going to go down as far as how well you may do in that based on the number that they provide. I know this sounds crazy. Rudy Gobert, 15 rebounds. I mean, you don't normally see a prize picks play with 15 stinking rebounds, but I still think the over is the play. I think, 20 rebounds is not out of the question here. I have him listed at just over 17, but he's going to get the minutes. They know if they can win this game on the road and go 2-0, that they're pretty much going to feel really good about this series. No answer whatsoever interior wise for Gobert, and he could have had a better game than he did the first game, and that's the scary part. So I'm 15 plus rebounds for Rudy Gobert is my one play. My other play is Fred VanVleet over 31.5 PRA. So we've got Crash likes Fred VanVleet under 4.5 rebounds. I know he doesn't normally get that many rebounds, so that makes perfect sense. But I do think he's a huge part of this game. I think that the fact that those guys are out, he's the veteran. He's got a championship under his belt. I think he steps up, has a really big game here. I have him listed at 34 PRA, and his line right now is only 31.5. So Fred VanVleet, my top pick for today. All right. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope this really helps you build your winning DFS lineups, gets you some prize picks winners, and gets us on down the road. So thanks so much for checking us out. Please hit that thumbs up on the way out, and definitely subscribe, hit the little alert button so you know when our podcast posts. I want to thank our presenting sponsor, BetUS.com.pa. You can sign up right there at BetUS.com.pa with the promo code Coach Talk. First depositors for $149 or more, you immediately get a free 2-month membership at DFS Coach Talk that encompasses everything that we do. So take advantage of that one. And then prizepicks.com. If you haven't signed up there yet, do it. And use that promo code Coach Talk while you're at it and get that free all the way up to $100 match on your first deposit. All right. Thank you again. Have a wonderful Monday. And we'll certainly be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and prize picks.